but it's better to share as in like, hey, there's this updating cycle, this updating the CPU. So I'm glad, Ralph, in the chat that you love the daily ones. I got really good response so far, but also there were some comments saying like, hey, they missed this hanging out, this weekly hanging out. Well, this is in going anywhere so far. We talked about having the 20 questions that this Q&A part of 20 questions or 15 or 10, whatever it takes, to have it as its own show and not even do it live. But I think the live thing is what it makes it special. So let's make it special. Let's answer the 20 top. Let's see 20. I'm gonna start with 20 and then we see if it takes too long. If it takes more than, I hope this show is gonna be shorter than that, but if it takes too long, we are gonna have to do less and maybe, yeah. Anyway, still bad sync. Is it really bad sync? Come on. Isn't it's I don't know what to do. Let's continue. Let's ignore. Listen, I'm not gonna ignore you. It's just ignore the yeah, exactly. It's fine. It's fine. It's just hard to watch. They're trolling. I'm being a victim of the trolls again. Let's go to Q&A. 110. Episode 110 is the first episode where we're gonna be answering the questions. And if people keep complaining in the chat, I'm just gonna even close the chat because it's getting really confusing. 10 questions to 20 questions actually. I actually cut them and then put them all here in one document that I am keeping myself here. But let's go through the website just to see it more interactive. Let's go. So, NetX, first question out of 20. Let's start. Let's have this sound. Otherwise, we're gonna miss this sound ever. Asking the same thing multiple times in all caps is really not gonna help anything really. It actually makes it worse. The best way to ask questions or to ask for feature requests is right here in this community called Blender. It's right click select in the blender.community. Let's start. Well, so Anity, and it keeps happening. Where do all these trolls come from? The Blender community wasn't like this in the past. What's my favorite Pokemon? Charmander, I would say. Hello, Pablo. There's significant. I stopped with the side tracking here, but I gotta show the Charmander. Thank you for the hacks, Benedict. Hello, Pablo. There's. What is wrong with me today? Some water here. Mate. Hello, Pablo, by NetX. There has been significant people through the week acknowledging Blender's animation issues. And my question is, do any of the main developers have any plans on checking this kind of criticism around the user interface and tools that might be useful? I don't know exactly what. Maybe it's pointing to this video that it was sharing like 1,000 times to me on the chat is very distracting. I'm gonna minimize you guys for a bit while I go through some of the questions. Do any of the devs have any plans on checking this kind of I don't know if it's a plan, but if you're really talking about the animation parts, absolutely. The animation is Animation 2020 is a project that we that we wanted to push through 2020, but we know that the world is going through a kind of a weird time where it makes it hard to communicate, to get in touch with people. The main project was around animation, but for that you need feedback from people working in the industry, right? Like actual people that are actually making big projects with them, make it film or games or anything for that kind of tool for animation. And there's the other side of the animation tools that need to be fixed, which is like the more generic things that we all know that it needs to be addressed, and like the NLA interface needs to be better, and tools in the graph editor, and making it a bit nicer overall. But okay, let's actually go to the actual question. So you don't need to see this if you want. I don't know if the video is too long, I might skip it, but okay, this is a tutorial about deleting animations and how unintuitive and cluttered the action editor is, while also giving an idea and advice about it. This is 4 minutes and contains yeah, deleting user animations and materials properly. So yeah, I'm not gonna watch this, I'm sorry. It's gonna take it's 4 minutes. It's a bit long for watching here, but for deleting animations, yeah, you need to delete the you need to remove the fake user and just delete it from there, right? And the same with materials. Materials don't have fake users by default, so to delete a material you just click there. The thing is that there's some ADHD going on with, like, it's there, it's not deleted, it's still around. What happens? It's gonna go away when Blender restarts. It's a kind of a backup, as like a trash bin that is there. It's not gonna be saved when you save your blend files. The thing is that we should have the concept of a trash bin in Blender. I guess we need the asset manager for that, and put all the orphan material stuff in there. Maybe this 0 here is 0 users, but it's a concept hard to grasp for some people. The fact that it's still there, why can I delete it? Also, the maybe something that is addressed in that video, I haven't watched it, but it's the fact that maybe if you have 2 objects with the same and you delete it from here, then it's not deleted because it still has 1 user. And for that, you can just simply press in an object that has more than 1 user. Like in this case, he has many users, 8 users. You can just shift and click. It's in the tooltip. Shift click will set it to 0 users. So it means that when you save your blend file and reload, or the next time you open it or you share it, it's not gonna be there. But yeah, to make that clear, we definitely need some kind of like a trash bin. So and then the next comment is this is a Maya and Blender comparison from a professional animator who worked at DreamWorks perspective. Very long and very good to check on him. This is, yeah, I've been shared this video. People have been sharing it with me throughout the whole week, but it's a bit much to watch at the moment. I haven't watched it, but I've seen like some people reacting very positively here. I don't know if this is talking to is comparing it and then asking the community for help, because the community seems to be giving the answers. So I was like, the colors are changeable. The X key, that's the same as the delete key. So it's basically if I mean, I haven't watched it, so I can't really say, but the comments are all replies mainly about how to use Blender in general. Like this key, the tilde key, brings up the pie menu that lets you do that, or you have to click the plus icon on the left, or if you press G and move, you can press middle mouse to quickly select the movement axis, or the colors are. So a lot of the answers are here. So I haven't watched it, but I mean it seems like by the answers of the comments, seems like it's not really didn't learn how to use the software before just trying it out. And in Blender it should be easy to use out of the box, I guess, especially if you have experience with other software. But I bet Maya was learned somewhere in some kind of school, so I think it's when you start to learn use a software, you should also give it some you should at least watch a tutorial on how to use it. The answers are about making the same question. I can edit the page to ask the same question. I feel this animator is so new to Blender that he is still rusty on some new features. And that's true. When comparing to softwares, you should, it's like you're comparing a software you've been using for years and comparing to a software that you have only used for a few weeks. Of course, there are things that you can compare, but there are other things that it's just different way of using it, right? Because not because you know music, you're gonna know how to play the piano and the guitar in one day or in 1 week or so, right? Let's continue. So Second comment is also about this YouTube. A long-time Maya user has recently been making videos comparing Blender and Maya. His most recent video, and it's probably the same, GR8, yes, over the differences between the animation tools in both pieces of softwares, and he makes a lot of very good suggestions about how to improve Blender animation toolset. Overall, Blender animation tools aren't bad, but they're clunky and unintuitive, enough to drive away a lot of animators who are working with other animation software. What are Blender's team's plans for improving the animation toolset to bring in line with these other animation software packages? And there is a long list. A lattice tool, that's actually pretty good, and it should be for all, in that, not only for the graph editor, but it should be for all, like a 2D. Blender has this concept of the 3D viewport and a 2D viewport, which is a, for example, the graph editor is one of them. The dope sheets, the sequencer is a 2D view editor. So when thinking about these tools, I think it should be added to as many areas as possible. Like it should be a tool in those editors. Maybe you want to use a lattice tool in the Eevee editor, right? So yeah. Well, the list goes on. Better animation layer, the NLA works, but it's clunky. Then let's just fix the NLA. More in the breakdowner tool, I bet this is something that should be definitely being worked on. There is a tool, but it needs a lot of work. More intuitive movement controls, like holding a modifier key to constrain the key on the Y-axis instead of having to press G and Y. I disagree. I think G and the axis, I think it's a good concept because it comes from the 3D. It's also available in the 2D, but maybe we need widgets for that kind of stuff. You can also press middle, like probably everybody that's watching this video knows, but if you hold middle mouse, you constrain it to an axis. So GX, or just simply G and drag with the middle mouse button in the axis you want to try. It's just so much fast. I don't know how this is slow. Like I'm literally just pressing G and at the same time middle mouse button dragging in the same direction. It works great with the pen and with the I don't know how there is anything faster than G and dragging like this. And in the graph editor, it's the same concept. It's just many points for that one questions, but basically answering what are the Blender team's plans for improving animation tool set. There is the Animation 2020 project that was going to happen this year. Again, I repeat, we've been talking about it for so long. The idea was to get people from actually, like, not just fixing one or two features, but actually Blender as a whole, as an animation package, and get in touch with people from the industry that are currently working in the industry itself. It's like the actual industry, not making actual big projects. And in this is maybe many of these features are based on Maya's features, but I doubt Maya it's maybe like what we want to look up to, because Maya without any add-ons, Maya by default, I doubt is the best animation software out there in the industry. I hope if we're gonna implement something, we're gonna renew the whole animation system in Blender, we should look up to Presto from Pixar, Primo from DreamWorks, and like where actually what the actual thing happens, and all the add-ons that add that missing functionality to other popular animation softwares. But yeah, performance, that's always in the schedule. Better theming defaults, that could be a right click select post, and then you just need to focus. And yeah, I think it's good that the community gets involved in this, because then you get some consensus. You can never please everybody, but it's good to get some consensus. But for example, yeah, if you change the way G and the axis, and G and pressing an axis, or G or middle mouse button work, is gonna make a lot more people in the community maybe not happy with that change. let's see. Godot has recently added, and the next question is that Godot has recently added signed distance field global illumination and has made it open source for other engines to use. Can Blender implement something like this for Eevee? So I've been following the main developer of Godot, and he's doing really crazy stuff with GI and real time. There are actually even better examples than this in the Godot engine.org, is it? And then in the news or the blog here, this one is fantastic. Like from the details from the blog post, it looks really neat, and something that it seems really new. It's something that they developed. So this development happened, of course it's very new. It hasn't even been released yet in Godot, because Godot 4 is not out yet. So I think for any kind of new technology to be adopted by Blender or any other software, then it needs to have at least some kind of release cycles to iron all of the wrinkles out. The thing I'm not really sure is that this new technology that is being done here in Godot, was done after they moved to Vulkan. So I don't know if they are using some Vulkan specific updates, which will make it so Blender can even look at it until we get Vulkan support, which is on its way. But yeah, I forgot to give you a little heart icon to this one, so I know which ones. So, okay, number 1, 2, number 3, Godot. Number 4, Mr. Blissfly says, "Hi Pablo, I just wanted to give a massive shout out to Howard Tricky and his continued dedication to the Boolean modifier redesign. Yes, actually I wanted to do this for a while. I was waiting for a few more commits to give it a shout out to Howard, that he's been working on it's called New Boolean, the name of the branch that keeps working on. It's been a while that it's been worked on. It's not an easy task, but you can follow the progress in the branch New Boolean, which if you compile Blender, it's just very simple to switch and compile Blender. If you're on Linux, I made a video on how to compile Blender, by the way. But if you follow the history, you're gonna see that, hey, June 30, 2 commits, June 29, this is just keeping it up to date with the current branch, but there is here more tests, and it's very promising that the new Boolean keeps being worked on, because new Booleans are used by many parts in Blender, especially add-ons. So all the add-ons that rely on the Boolean modifier to make stuff, you're gonna get benefits from this. So you know what's important? That's why it's important to support core Blender development as well, because then it means that other areas of Blender can benefit, including external add-ons. The next question by Pranay Vaidya says, "This will be faster to put keyframes if something like this comes after pressing I." So, I came a pie menu. The thing with the pie menus is that it only needs, as you can see here, it can only take up to 8 slots, I think, right? 8 entries. So how do you access all of the options in the insert keyframe? Then you will have to have sub pie menus. You can add the most popular ones like location, rotation, scale, and maybe location, rotation. Actually, this is a good idea, because it in the middle is both of them. So lock rot there, which I don't know if you noticed, by the way, but now it says location instead of lock, and rot instead of lock rot, it says location, scale, location, rotation. Really nice little thing, but you know, it keeps adding, making it easier to read. Was playing CS:GO and this idea struck me. Yeah, I know, right? I was playing League of Legends, and also there are pie menus for all kinds of stuff. So how if gamers can speed up their performance, which is like crucial for, you know, speed in video games. We should get more ideas from there. Maybe it's not very user friendly though, but maybe it should be like some kind of advanced hardcore way of using Blender or any software. So Somac 200 says, one thing I forgot to mention, are the developers open to look outside of Blender to see how other softwares handle things? I think Blender is in need of diverse viewpoints or on how to get things done, not just the Blender way. I can't speak for the developers, but usually we try to keep us healthy balance between what other people are doing, especially people again in the industry, like actually dealing with like massive amount of data for anything, for like making props or making I don't know, physics, or dealing with you know, with the actual payloads of big productions. And the healthy part comes from also taking care of the Blender way of doing things. The Blender way can be seen as two things. One is the weird way of doing things, because because Blender is open source and is developed and you know, it's developed by the community and for the community. We don't have clients like waiting for, you know, you have to release this feature in this moment or whatever. There's no such thing as that. There's no clients. There's the community that leads the project, and if someone comes up with like a new way of doing whatever, I don't know, like the cloth brush, for example, it came up out of nowhere by one of the developers working for Blender, and many other little things that can be done the Blender way. So I think it's good to look into other softwares just to see, okay, this is what the community of other softwares are doing, and this is how fast they're working on. But then also try to see how it fits in the Blender pipeline, because not every other software out there has a, you know, I don't know, a compositor, video editor, and the 3D and sculpting and motion tracking in the same software. Not everybody has that, and Blender does have that. So if we were to just look at other software and just like copy blindly, then for example with the, I don't know, with the video sequence editor, then it would be a mistake in some parts, right? You can have benefits, of course. Performance, as that, of course, you need performance. Editing tools for strips is, yes, of course. But Blender can have scene strips, which are actually just like actual scene where you can see another 3D scene right there. We should take advantage of that. We have a video editor inside of a 3D scene with 2D objects and 3D objects. So we should maybe just, I don't know, just try to think more out of the box and not try to make Blender look like other softwares, but try to make Blender better and fit within the Blender pipeline. Of course, it should work with other softwares. Now, OpenVDB, for example, is being added for import and export of fluid simulation. That's great, because it means that Blender can talk to other softwares and others can talk to Blender. That's great, and we should keep doing that. It also USD support, of course, Alembic, and Blender should be a player with other softwares in the industry, but it should also try to, you know, polish the Blender way of doing things. Sometimes the Blender way sounds like a bad thing, but for me it sounds like a good thing. Oops, I just killed. Up. I just pressed here. I dropped my Charmander. Poor Charmander. All right. Yes, the Blender way sometimes is seen as a bad thing, but I see it as a good thing. Borderline, not always industry standard, but you know, maybe there are better standards to make. Again, everything that I said on this show, just a disclaimer, everything that I say on this show is my opinion and Pablo Vazquez. None of these opinions reflect those of Blender as a company. Are there any plans to add GPU acceleration for cloth simulation and cloth brushes in Blender? Cloth simulation, yes, actually there are. I should ask Sebastian Parborg about it, because there were some no, actually it's GPU, or I think they were planned after, but first like to speed up CPU, the same way it was done with speeding up subsurf first for CPU and then for GPU. And cloth brushes, I'm not sure the cloth brush, because yeah, I'm not really sure if it could be sped up in that way. Something, maybe a question for Pablo Navarro. But yeah, just keep in mind that cloth simulation and cloth brush is like completely different systems. They are different. One is a modifier and one is like an actual live simulation that happens under the brush, that has to deal with geometry, you know, being deformed in. So yeah, it's different. Index 3D asks here, let's see, how many questions are we in? Index 3D, number 6 only, and we are already live for half an hour. Gee. All right, and you guys are doing amazing jobs. Also, I know that you guys are working on collection modifiers, yeah, like overrides, actually, collection overrides. Are there any chance of having the option to move, rotate, and scale collections? No, that I don't. Well, chances always. If somebody from the community makes a tool, for example, to move or to I don't know, maybe there could be a special tool for it, and does it, and then it gets approved. I think it wouldn't hurt to have it, but I don't see it at the moment in the roadmap to do that, because the way collection modifiers are gonna work, it's overriding. So adding an override to the whole collection, where option to move, rotate, and scale is separate. Next, Leonardo, not a question, but I just want to guys to know that there is a Maya professional artist who compare Blender, Maya, and see which Blender lacks. Here's the link to developers can improve. Thank you, and make it a bit easier for artists. If you're just watching this, I replied to this in the beginning of the show. Next question, John. Hi Pablo, could you describe the plans for the Compositor in 2.9, specifically compositing performance and tracking and mask pipeline on this roadmap? And the roadmap is, I think, this one. Yes, so the roadmap that here that John is talking about is in the code block, code.blender.org. It's part of the here of the modules roadmap, where you're gonna see that there is the Compositor here, tracking mask pipeline. The Compositor, so there is the Compositor is mentioned twice here. So there is the compositing performance, which is just performance basically. Tracking and mask pipeline, overall improvements in the tracking and mask pipeline. Then one of those is the to have automatic tracking, somehow a way to like a button that you press and it just magically happens. Improve that workflow per se. The compositing performance we already know, just making it not silly. The same goes with the Blender sequencer refactor, or like in the future, like improving the sequencer. Right now, when you edit the video, if the video is 4K and you and your preview is like, you didn't see my arms, how big they were. If the video is 4K and the preview is like this big, Blender is gonna calculate this big always, no matter what, like maybe this big, no matter the size of, and that's silly, right? One way of fixing that will be to just like, okay, just execute this amount of pixels, not everything. And this can also be applied to the Compositor, because the backdrop of the Compositor also should be, if you're only previewing the backdrop, it should also just, you know, update that one size. But yeah, that's one of the performance improvements. Among the overall performance, right? I'm really looking forward more to like the improvements that the node editor is gonna get regarding the Compositor, or every other node editor, with the everything nodes project. Diego Valadares asks, are there any chances of node outputs like pointiness, random per island, and getting support in Eevee? And here Lapis is linking to pointiness support in Eevee. Wow. Estimate 1 week. Support for pointiness need to be computed on the CPU. Last time I heard, I didn't know there was a task already planned for it. I hope Clément can look into this soon, or maybe has to wait for Vulkan support. I'm not sure. Right now Clément is working on improving the motion blur plus in Eevee that was added recently, plus the fixing Eevee overall to make it work better in all platforms. I think at the moment Mac is having some issues. The pointiness support will be awesome, but it's a bit expensive to compute at the moment, so that's why they should be done in the CPU and then stored in the batch cache as a shading attribute. Yeah. Let's move on. And I guess the same for the other feature, for random per island. There are many things that you can't simply do always in GPU, and it's more efficient to do it in CPU. Next, any chance of seeing radial and grid array options in the foreseeable future? I know that modifiers and instant geometry topic exists in the anti-features list, but having something native would be so much better than currently humiliating juggling with empties to create a simple radial array. Yes, I completely agree with you. There is a request on right-click select that has been there for a while, and I don't know why. This is one of those things that the community could, a Blender developer from the community, from the Blender community, could tackle it. Could like go into look. Okay, what's missing? What it needs to be done? And it's not happening. We should have a list of those things. Like, for example, drag and drop. If I was a new Blender developer, just join the community, and you go to right-click select, you see the most requested features. You see that radial array, for example, that's one of the options. Or drag and drop a OBJ file in Blender and just make it import, you know. Just pop up the import window. I don't know. Those things, there are examples of other file types doing that. VDB and image, for example, when you drop an image in the viewport. Blend files, of course, that open the menu that allows you to link or append. There are options for to get inspired. But yeah, some things, not everything is unfortunately a priority for the Blender core developers, which have to focus more on the bug fixing and making Blender stable and the big features, right? Like, for example, asset manager, undo, faster undo, those features. There are some things that the community that are smaller but yet big that the community could contribute. Hello, Silas. Hello, love the show. That's why we should bring back the Blender Code Dive sessions. Have you heard anyone whispering about sculpting layers? That feature would be so great. Also, shape key support for the multi-res. Is that planned? It's helpful for realistic characters. Thanks, Pablo. I will enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you, Silas. I have not heard any whispering about sculpting layers lately. There is this I think Pablo Navarro has a different idea of how to implement not sculpting layers but similar. The key mesh keys. No, it's not the mesh keys. It's one where you can basically sculpt and get the shape from another snapshot, the mesh snapshots. But yeah, not sure about the sculpting layers feature. At the moment, Pablo Navarro is the only developer dedicated only to sculpting, but he's also working on the paint module. He's also module owner of that area, painting and texturing and in the viewport and brush stuff. All right, how many questions are we here? Silas, let's see, we are in number 13. Maybe I make it with less than an hour. Let's see. This is mate, guys. This is nothing weird. Let's check out the chat. I haven't been checking in a while. How's everybody doing here in the chat? Chat's back. Yes, I'm here in the chat. Mate, yes, I have it here as a window, but sometimes since I have it next to the thing that I'm reading, it's very, very confusing and distracting. Sorry, people. Let's move on. People asking me, yes, this is mate. This is yerba mate. I'm from the south. I'm from Patagonia, Argentina. Next question. The 3D cursor moves even when hidden. Is there a way we can disable this so it's not accidentally moved while hidden? No, there is no way we can lock the 3D cursor at the moment. There was an add-on back then, but I don't know if it's been ported. No, unfortunately, no. No. But there was an add-on back then to make it, to lock it, basically. I think it's good that even when you hide it, even when you hide the 3D cursor, that it still can be placed and can be moved around, because sometimes you're using it and you know where it is. You know, you can now shift right click and you just set it whatever you want, and you know you can reliably use it without actually having to see it. So yeah. Let's continue. Nice. The chat is getting crazy. All right. Next question. Hola. When Eevee will get texture support for light sources? It's a huge loss since the Blender internal. Yes, it is a huge loss. I am a big fan of the Blender internal. I hope we can get that. I don't know how possible it is to do it now, but the light sources not only need a texture support, but they need node support, nodal support. I hope that can be added soon. It's in the roadmap, but there's no I can't tell you a date, unfortunately. But yes, node support for Eevee for lights. That's where we should head. Not only texture, but nodes. So it also matches what we have on cycles. So right now cycles doesn't have Eevee doesn't have nodes, where cycles has all the nodes you can use. All right, let's move on. Next question by Pranaya yeah. Hello Pablo. Yes. May God give all you guys peace of minds. There is a possibility for a shortcut to make a new camera from view. Ctrl-Shift-Alt-0. Why? Because we have to add a camera, we have to make it active, we have to check the lock camera to view. No, I don't like that feature actually. I like it, but not by default. Then place it. It helps us in multicam setup for motion graphics, and also a shortcut to just select any camera and make it active. Which I generally do from the outliner. So up to this point, I think it's yeah, it would be nice to have a way to add a camera and make it active. Unfortunately, with Blender 2.8, we tried to get rid of all the shortcuts that use like you have to make your fingers like a little empanada, you know, like make it like this size, and then 0. It's I love these kind of things, but they fit better on an add-on than in built-in Blender. Also, especially because here you have lock camera to view, which I disagree. I think lock camera to view it's good for some cases, but it should be used with care, handled with care, because it's sometimes you can mess up the position of your camera if you have it all the time on. So yeah. It's a great idea though. I like it. Maybe it needs to be polished a little bit better, or maybe have some kind of, we need some kind of add-on for camera handling. You know, there is a new add-on for Grease Pencil stuff that is going to extend Grease Pencil even further. It was going to come built in Blender, but it's going to expand on the features that maybe are too specific to be added to the regular, you know, Blender. But yeah, still needed though. Let's move on. Eduardo Rubio asks, hi Pablo, what are the requirements for add-ons such as Rigify to be integral part of Blender? I'm responsible for the add-on Rig on the Fly and would love to see its core principles be integrated to Blender by actual programmers. Hey, you're an actual programmer. If you make this add-on, you are an actual programmer. The core principles being light, simple, and flexible rig that can change to fit the animator's needs as he or she animates, with visually understandable F curves and limited no custom properties to animate. Let's see. Rig on the Fly. So, oh, that's cute. And oh, nice. A penguin. Okay, you got me. All right. Rig on the fly is a dynamic rigging tool. Inspired by this talk. To facilitate animators' job by automating repetitive tasks such as rigging. It does so by modularizing the rig, allowing changes to how it functions on the fly without losing motion. So for adding this add-on, you mean you want to add this add-on as a Blender built-in add-on, such as Rigify? The main thing is to prove that you're gonna take care of this baby. Having add-ons that are just not maintained in Blender and just like rot there in time, it's not good. People just then they get used to it, and then if they don't get updated, then the Blender developers have to remove it, because if it doesn't get updated, it adds more work on the shoulders of the Blender core developers, that their time is better spent maybe fixing bugs in Blender. So instead of just add-ons. So it's mainly having a proven record of, you know, like commit that you say, okay, I'm gonna maintain this guy. There is in the wiki page how to contribute getting started and how to add add-ons. So how to communicate, how to bring these add-ons. So let me let's see if I can find it. It was somewhere here. I can't think of it at the moment. Where here? Process add-on guidelines. Requirements for contributed scripts. To prepare your script for submission into Blender add-ons catalog, your script must. And here all the list. So this is the actual list that you need. It's in wiki.blender.org wiki process add-ons guidelines. This is what you need exactly. The other part is, yeah, just be around to fix stuff. The add-on at the beginning is gonna be part of the testing part. It's a separate repository, Git repository, where you can take care of your add-on. So yeah, let's see. Next question. Mono says, let's see how far am I. Number 17. Wow, I may make it to less than an hour. Hi there, I wanted to thank the whole Blender team for the awesome work and pulling off such an amazing project like Blender. My question is Blender thinking about implementing or extending the sequence editor to something similar found in the Unreal Engine? A real-time non-linear editing solution / camera manager will be an amazing tool for filmmakers and would open up tons of possibilities for studios, and especially the early creation phase of the films. I have uploaded a proposal on right-click. Hey, this is nice. Let me open it. But I don't know if it's nice. I'm just gonna open it. But the fact that you just don't say, hey, here, copy Unreal. Bye. Thank you. You actually go through the trouble of thinking how it could connect with Blender. Usually pictures also help a lot, like how would you envision this. And actually here the first point is something that is being worked on and is part of the modules, is storyboarding in Blender. Blender is a 3D suite, right? Well, 2D also, but it's for everything that you need for creating a animation, a film, whatever. Blender has the whole pipeline, except that one part, which is the storyboarding. You can do it, of course. You can just use the sequencer and use like scenes, but then it's not as easy as it could be, right? You could just like, I don't know, you can have a scene, a main scene for having the render size and the main edit, and then you can have little scenes for each one of the shots, for example, that could contain a grease pencil drawing for each of the storyboards. Maybe that's a good approach. You could just double click on the scene and then go to that scene, paint, and then with a shortcut or something go back to the main edit so you could see it there. Or maybe you could even edit that scene in built-in blend in the editor, in the sequence editor. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wow, that would be actually pretty awesome. But that's just yeah, that implicates a lot of implication. Memory, linking, unless we have some kind of limit. Yeah, just thinking about the memory nightmare, but it's amazing. Yes, the plan for Blender is to become a full-fledged film making, animation making, game making, anything making, because you know, there is also architecture stuff, motion graphics, all the areas in Blender that are being used, or even rocket modeling at NASA. Yes, everything should be tackled, and storyboards fits right in. Also, because there is no prominent tool for open source tool for storyboarding at that level, where you can have a video editor and the 3D editor. That implicates a lot of implications. I know, sorry, mi inglés no bueno. Next comment, number 18. Sant Leifer Vladimir. Is Blender considering to adapt as vanilla some plugins like box cutter or hard ops? I always watch your videos. Thank you. Saludos de Argentina. Saludos Argentina. Is Blender considering to adapt as vanilla some plugins like box cutter or hard ops? I don't think that question is up to Blender, unfortunately. Blender could do it because it's the add-ons are open source, but it's not very nice. So I think something like that, this is a question that you should be asking the teams at box cutter and hard ops. They are the ones that should be, you know, taking those decisions. It's worth mentioning that these guys and girls, the team of hard ops and box cutter, they are contributors to the Blender Development Fund here as diamond sponsors, and as a titanium sponsors, and as a platinum sponsors, and there must be again also as, are you also gold or just 3 again? Yes, they are in every level. So you could call it yeah, you need to step up here. You need to have a logo up here. I was just saying that they are integrating as Blender, or like donating those add-ons to Blender. It's something that they should decide, but also they are contributing as Blender, so to Blender development, so in every level possible. So that is very nice, and that it's a nice thing to do. Let's see the next question. Matt Neutron. I feel silly asking this, but is there a way to swap the shortcut for active tools to just select the tool? Example, make G, move tool, and Alt G, and active mode. The same for scale and rotation. There was a setting, let me see if still there, in editing, or not. Oh no, we changed it, I think, in the input here, keymaps. Oh, I have a, let's use the Blender default one. Alt middle mouse, no. Active a gizmo, no. There was an option though. The intention was there to have that as an option, and I think we should, because this Alt G, or for activating the tool, like Alt and then activating the tool, it gets on the way of other workflows, so it shouldn't always be active, or you should be able to disable it. I got some requests from people to revisit this feature, and I think we should, because even though it's great, what I mentioned here is that if you press Alt and release, you're gonna see in the bottom bar here that all the shortcuts for the tools in the sidebar are available, so you don't have to go and click here. You can do just Alt and wait and then measure, for example. Let's continue. Thank you for the question. Renato Gangemi, maybe it's not Gangemi. Hello Pablo, how are you doing? I'm doing great, because this is the last question of all 20 and it's almost reaching 1 hour, so who would have thought? So do you have any good news or prediction about key mesh or other features that could help us to animate a 3D character without a character rig? And is there a possibility to see a kind of post brush on grease pencil as well? That would be nicer. And do you have any good use prediction about the key mesh or other features? Key mesh, no, I don't know exactly about that feature in particular. For those that don't know, it is in if you search like Blender key mesh Pepeland maybe. Daniel Martinez Lara is the artist that worked with the developer Pablo Dobarro to make this proof of concept. For those that are not familiar, it's fantastic. Basically, it's a hack. It's a hack. You know, Blender is for an object is an object. An object is an object. Pablo 2020. An object is an object that it's an entity that inside has another entity called the mesh data block, right? This mesh data block can be swapped at all times, so the object stays the same, but the mesh inside can be changed all the time. In this case, they are hacking the Blender system to be able, instead of adding a shape key, so the same vertices over time, is that different mesh altogether over time. That has big implications. It implicates implications, like I said it before, about of memory, right? You have a lot of memory issues and things that can go wrong because this concept was never really done before. So I'm not sure if this is if this could be an add-on because of how risky it is, or how it could be designed better. I think it has a lot of potential, and this, you see, this stuff is thinking out of the box. It's not looking at other softwares and how to do things, because I'm not sure if this is even possible, changing the whole mesh per frame in other softwares. Maybe it is, maybe they just copied from another software, but it looks very new to me, and this is what we should thrive for. Innovation. We can do it. We have open source. We can have people from this happened in Spain. Blender Studio is in Amsterdam, and features the modifier drag and drop and the bevel custom profile modifier happen in the United States. All the mesh stuff and the fixes happen in Australia. You know, it's great that we can do this, that we can afford to have people from the community everywhere helping out, and yeah, innovating. Let's make the best Blender. Let's make the best 3D software possible. That's okay. That was the last question. Let's I think that was 20 questions. Yeah, that was exactly 20 questions. I have them all listed here. This is the last one by Renato. Okay, last one, you see here in the viewport. Hi Salker, hello Pablo. Are there any plans for virtually unlimited polygon interaction in the viewport, such as Clary's viewport of Unreal Engine 5, where you can, when you move through a scene with billions of polygons in real time? It's no, there are no plans at the moment. Unreal didn't even release this yet. It was a demo. It's amazing what they're doing, but yeah, this is like extremely new. That who knows what they really did to manage that, to handle all of that. But also remember that in Blender, everything that you see you can edit. Usually you can edit, so it's a different kind of data that you have. You know, you have a cache data, you have a way of visualizing. It's not the same as being able to edit and go to each one of those million polygons in Blender. Performance, though, it is going to be it's a big part of Blender. And if you look at all the 2.9 improvements, many of them are performance improvements everywhere, from mesh editing to cycles to yeah, everywhere in Blender it's getting a performance boost. All right, I think we reached to a good moment here. 56 minutes, not too bad. Michael's Music Instrument says, hello, with 20 questions in 1 hour. Yes, I was hoping this will be shorter than 1 hour, but yeah, we had that a few questions, and I really understand your concerns regarding the animation tools and animation pipeline in Blender, that it has to improve. Am I back? Thumbs up if I'm back. Suddenly I got a message that OBS said reconnecting, and YouTube also said reconnecting. Am I fine? Yes, thumbs up. I'm alive. Okay. And I was just talking about this kind of... Okay, thank you. Yeah, yes. I was just kind of talking about this topic that that is a bit sensitive lately, and a lot of people are looking forward to what Blender has to answer. But it's not. No, don't take it as a Blender response. Take it as a my own personal response. But people have been getting in touch with us. For example, they've been contacting and mentioning us on Twitter, and I like this reply about Hjalti that's like, I will gladly extend an offer of having a video chat with him to answer any questions he has about animating in Blender. So for those who don't know, Hjalti, he's been working at the Blender studio for many years. He worked on Caminandes, Cosmos, all the films. He directed Agent 327, co-directed and directed Coffee Run, and it's the fact that you get someone like that saying like, hey, you wanna Skype and just learn how to use Blender, sitting next to a user from another part of the community. All the fact that you can literally just go and like, I think Blender in that regard is very, is one, or is the most approachable company I know ever. Like the fact that you can just tweet at the CEO and you're very likely to get a response, or you can have a daily live stream, a weekly live stream for this kind of stuff. I think it's a good sign that we care. Blender cares. So yes. Okay. I think we can call it day. So almost 1 hour is 1 hour. I had a great time. I hope you too. Sorry about the last drop. I don't know what happened exactly. I just got a message, and sorry that I also had to minimize the chat for a bit while I was going through the questions, because it was really hard to follow the questions and the chat. Unfortunately, we're getting a few trolls lately. What happens? Blender is getting too popular. Or not. Or is it? It is. It is. Let's see it reflected in good artwork, in more proposals. Right click select is like the best place where you can go and propose stuff. There is a new section called usability under the DevTalk forums if you wanna contribute there with some proposals on how to better some parts of Blender, how to fix those paper cuts. All right, that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for next week's updates. I haven't seen, like, there are a few videos that I want to make. Just a spoiler alert, I have here a little list of the updates that I want to cover in the next Blender Today. But there are also updates regarding the Google Summit of Code. And I think I could spend a video a day maybe making videos about that. Just to I don't usually try to share news that are not official in the Blender master branch, just to not get hopes too high. But yeah, let's maybe we can get some sneak peeks, at least from some of the branches, like the outliner. Now you can have color collections in outliner, that, not in Blender now, but in Blender coming anyway. Spoiler alert. Thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure. Let's do it again, same place, same time next week in this show that we called Blender Today Q&A. I don't like that name, but I don't know. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blender Today Q&A kind of has a ring to it, but I don't know. Thank you everybody in the chat. I'll see you again next week, same place, same time for Blender Today.